in the state of Louisiana for in terms of college basketball. This is Tulane assistant head coach Kevin Johnson. He's tuning in to us today. We're gonna be dropping some gems on y'all today. It's Coach Kevin Johnson. Are you there?
I'm here.
Coach, man, appreciate you coming on FanView, man. I know y'all, you had meetings and stuff like that, man, trying to get you guys prepared, for this upcoming season, man. Basketball right around the corner.
Yep.
Man, talk about last year, man. Most wins in the conference in over a decade. You guys did fairly well in the conference, man. I followed you guys with starting off with that big win against Penny Hardaway and the Memphis Tigers at home. I think you guys started off 4-1, and then you hit a little wall here and there, and then Jalen Cook went down with the injury, and the season didn't end like you wanted it to. But just talk about what you've seen from this program and what Ryan Hunter's trying to build over there, man, down here in New Orleans.
Well, first of all, before we get to that, man, we got to get to the important stuff, man. First of all, man, I love listening to you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate it.
Man, what y'all do to promote sports in the boot, and particularly, the sport that I work in, basketball, man, it's unbelievable.
Right.
And it's something that's definitely needed. And I love listening to you, man. So anything you guys need from me, you got it.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Coach.
it.
Yep. But no, man, it's been a really good ride here, man. When Ron Hunter first took over this program, he got this job in 2019,
Right.
and he asked me to come help him kind of be his Louisiana contact. They didn't win a league game the year before he got here.
Right.
Right.
We start digging into this thing, man, and boy, we really figured out something in a hurry that boy, it was a tough job. But man, I love where we are, man. We've kind of gotten back to my roots, man. Coach is always going to have a hand in Atlanta and recruit that area. But we got some dudes from right here, man, that have been
Right.
very helpful in us turning this thing around. And shoot, the guy right now, man, that's kind of carrying the torch is Jalen Cook.
Jalen Cook.
Right.
Yeah. So and we got some other guys too, man. Jalen Forbes is an all-league
Yes.
guy.
Yes.
Kevin Cross emerged last year as an all-league guy. So, the future is definitely bright, man, and we're excited about this season.
Listen, Coach Johnson, let's talk about Jalen Cook, man. Talk about being having an opportunity to coach a kid like that. To me, he has lottery pick in terms of NBA written all over him. Talk about coaching the kid, especially for last season. What kind of potential you see in a guy like Jalen Cook?
Coach Hunter says this all the time. He's the most dynamic guard he's ever coached. And you guys know he's coached some good ones, man.
Yep.
George Hill, NBA veteran,
Right.
his own son. I mean, he's been around some real players. And he said, man, Cook is the most dynamic guard I've coached. And but interestingly enough, our first week on the job, Coach Hunter said, where do I need to go? And I said, we're going to Baton Rouge. And so we were able to see a couple of guys in the gym that day. And it's so crazy how things work. Jalen Cook was in the gym that day. Colin Holloway was in the gym that day. Percy Daniel was a young
Wow. Wow. All three of them on y'all squad now.
Yeah. So Coach Hunter he goes, man, I need that guard. I need Cook. And I said, Coach, he gonna be hard to get, but we're gonna fire a shot.
Right.
And so we didn't get him first time around, man. But we kept the relationship
Sure.
right. And boy, I
Right.
love his parents, man. Mr. Eric and Miss Lydia, man.
Yep.
They down home Louisiana people, shoot, just like my people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, so when he decided to make a move, man, he reached out to us.
Wow.
And so we went in full bore, man. And since then, the rest has been history, man.
Thanks.
Dude's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. And,
Yep.
and I've coached some good ones. And just his ability to maneuver with that ball and then shoot the ball.
Yep.
Because he can score it at the cup against bigger people.
Yep.
He's got the floater. He's got the mid-range.
Yep.
Yep.
And then he's got the three ball. And
Yep.
that's what those scouts like about it.
Yep. Coach, man, I want to talk about, your experience, in Louisiana, man, and being able to find those diamond in the rough. So those guys that might not be looked at as a highly touted kid coming out of high school, like a Alpha Payton, like a Paul Millsap.
Right.
You was able to
Right.
see those guys and groom those guys when you coached them.
Yep.
Talk about your eye and just having that skill set to be able to find those kids that might be kind of going under the radar, but you kind of can see where they can go in the future if you can kind of just put your hands on them and coach them up a little bit?
Man, well, first of all, I'm passionate about it. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is I was one of those guys.
Right.
I knew when I came out of Morgan City High School in 1984, I was one of the better players in this state. I knew it. I just needed an opportunity. And I was very fortunate and blessed, man. I got a scholarship to Texas Pan American and got a chance to play for definitely a Hall of Fame coach in Lon Kruger. That was his first head coaching job. And I always like to say, I was a part of the team that got him out and got him on his way. But I'm passionate about that, man. Finding guys that maybe the next coach or the coaches at the Power 5 schools don't think is that guy.
Yep.
And I see something, and then when you nurture a kid, man, and you make them believe, that the sky's the limit. And that's kind of like what happened with Alfred, man.
Right.
We were his only offer. And man, he got in there and he just believed in himself and he worked at it. And he goes from one offer to, the 10th pick of the draft.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I love looking for guys like that. And that's not to say that, everyone, we sign, is that.
Right.
But, man, I love those stories.
When Alfred was making that, I remember that, man, like it was yesterday when y'all were in the Sun Belt Championship right there at Lakefront Arena.
And Lakefront Arena.
Man, that run he went on in that conference tournament, I think that's what solidified him as the lottery pick. Just watching him as a coach, but did you kind of turn into a fan throughout that little run?
Man, I was really a fan actually way prior to that. So after his sophomore year, he had solidified himself as a whitelist guy. That means after sophomore year, he was a top 30 player in his class in the country.
Wow.
But we had a very bad end to the season that year, man. We played Middle Tennessee in the conference tournament, and they were huge. And, man, they beat Alfred up. Every time he got in the lane, they were taking him down. He hitting the floor. So we lost that game, and he and I walked out of the arena together, and he was kind of in tears. And I said, man, I'm going to tell you something. And I said, I hope you believe it. I said, you just earned your stripes. I know right now we're going to play in the NCAA tournament next year. And so he had a couple of things happen that summer. The first thing that happened was he was able to be a part of, because his age, he was young, the 19 and under USA team.
I remember that.
Yep.
And he was the only player that started every game for that team. Billy Donovan coached him, and they won the gold. And that was the first thing. So he got back from there. And then our team took a foreign trip to Spain that summer. And, man, when I was watching him in Spain play against those professional guys, I said, man, this dude took a jump. And so you knew then that all the NBA talk, it was real.
Right.
And, man, we had scouts in practice every day, man, after that. Seemed like in the fall. So, was I a fan? Yes.
Yeah,
no doubt.
right.
I'm always going to be.
Especially when you played
Played a part in that.
Yeah, man. But that dude there, man, he worked so hard. He was so Hey, think about this. And when I go into the high schools, I tell kids this, Alfred labeled as a non-shooter, a non-free throw shooter, and as a point guard, he's the 10th pick of the draft. Yep. Now, how does that happen?
Right.
He had to have those intangibles. Man. The attitude, the coachability, the work hard, the competitive spirit. He had some things, man, that propelled him to, where he is today.
Yep.
Coach, I got a question, because you've been coaching for some time now. You got some roots down here in the state of Louisiana. We talking about basketball, just college basketball. How are you able to relate to these kids? Because these kids are in a different generation now.
Yep.
These kids are different. These kids are looking at social platforms, trying to, create highlight tapes of themselves. How you are able to still find ways to connect to this different generation of kids while recruiting in today's marketplace?
Man, this is year number 34 for me. And
I'm trying to tell you.
And I know the times change. I ask a lot of guys who've been in the business this long, how are they able to sustain? And you know what, man? Different things work for different people. I think what works for me is that, I'm hard on kids. I believe in coaching them hard, but I also believe in letting them know that I care.
Yep.
So
Right.
if the
Right.
relationship is there, man, and you spend the time, if you put the work in, I think you can still coach these guys hard today, man. That's what I believe. So it's worked for 34 years, and and I want to continue to do that, man. Have some real connection, some real relationship, and hey, look, if we put this work in and know that what I'm telling you is for your benefit, and if you trust and believe that, man, the sky's the limit.
Shit, that work is them suicides, boy. Don't boy, look here, boy. I
That's a
remember
part
them
of it.
days, boy.
Coach,
That's
Coach
that's a
KJ,
part
man.
of it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Man, I always, anytime I talk to a college coach, man, I always love listening to the story of the journey.
Right.
What inspired you, who played a part into it. Like you said, you've been doing it for 34 years.
Right.
I know your
Hmm.
brother, got drafted, played in the NBA. What
Yes.
was it before you started 34 years ago that got you into coaching, that got you so passionate, that got you want to help and mentor kids and do this for so long?
Right.
Right. Man, I think first of all, it started at home. My mom's a retired elementary school teacher. Um, the fact that she was a teacher, I really admired, what she did. And in coaching, you do a lot of teaching. I think the people that have touched me along the way, my high school coach, John Kearney, my college coach, Lon Kruger. Interesting story. I can remember being on a road trip with Coach Kruger as a freshman, and he asked me, he said, why you like to sit on the front of the bus? Why you not on the back of the bus with those
Right.
guys playing spades? Why aren't you in the spades tournament? And I told him, I said, Coach, to be honest with I like what you guys are talking about. They were talking about game planning. They were
Right.
talking about substitution patterns. And so the interest really was sparked right there as a player when I was still in college. And then to take it a step further, I was no different than these young guys that play today, man. Sure, I thought I was going to the league as well. But I was playing over in the English basketball league in England. I was living in Manchester, England,
Right.
and I had a guy who I consider really one of the founding fathers of grassroots basketball in Louisiana. Had a guy call me, Billy Kennedy. I don't know if y'all know that
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
I know
I
that.
remember Billy Kennedy when he was at Southeastern. That's when I went to
Yeah,
Southeastern.
yeah. So Billy Kennedy went on to be the head coach at Texas A&M. And after Southeastern, but he called me. He was assistant coach at Northwestern State. He called me overseas, and he said, "Hey, how much money you making over there?" I said, "Not enough." He said, look, man, I got a job for you. I know you said you wanted to coach. I got a job for you. He said, so come on home and when you get back, come see me in Natchitoches. So my very first coaching job was at Northwestern State Natchitoches, 1989.
Wow.
90. And so actually, guys on that team, how about a guy like Roman Banks, the athletic director
Yep.
at Southern?
Yep.
I coached Roman,
Yep.
in
Yep.
college. So, but that's kind of how I got in.
Right.
And man, 30 some years later, I tell people I've never really had a job.
Right.
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 It's
Right.
funny. We had a coach last week on the show. Coach Jay Wright says the same
Jay
thing.
Smith.
Jay Smith. Sorry, Jay Smith.
Yeah.
He said the
Yeah.
same thing. Been coaching 17 years now. He said
Yeah.
he never really had a job. He's just been
Yeah.
coaching. And it's like, man, it's funny to hear those stories because of
Right.
that's how coaches feel. They feel like they don't their job is to get in the gym with them kids and coach those kids.
No doubt about it, man. I never got in this business. Coach, when I first got in this business, coaches didn't make any money. But now you got some dudes making a lot of money in this game.
Right.
But that's not why I got in the game. But the guys who get in for the right reasons, man, they boy, they have so much to give these young fellas.
Man, coach, I'm petty. I'm sorry. It's who I am. I can't let it out me. It's just who I am. I can't let it go. So listen, what are some of the things that you do as a coach when you see a kid who
Mhm.
think they like the best thing since sliced bread,
Right.
but they not like that? Like, what are some of the things you have to tell a kid who
Yeah.
really you really got to tell them? You got to say to have a heart to heart to them. How you go
Mhm.
about that process? Because I know me, I'll be bad with it. Like I'm like you ain't
Right.
like that. You can't really shoot the three out. I'll pull up your numbers and just get real disrespectful about it. But What are some of the things you do as a coach to let kids to
Yeah,
kind of pull some of these kids back? Because every kid that they think they are
true.
D1, every kid that they are NBA draft pick. What are some of the things you have to do to kind of humble some of these kids and let them know, hey, listen, it's about the work you put in.
Yeah, well, first of all, having confidence is a good thing, but
Right.
if you're not studying the landscape of basketball today, then you're really just fooling yourself. So I just keep it real with them. I'm in these schools all the time, and I tell high school kids, used to be you could be a really good high school player and know that you could get a Division I scholarship. But actually, the way recruiting works today, not just in my situation, but all across the country, man, if we got a chance to recruit a transfer out the portal who's got some experience,
Mm-hmm.
who's been through the college basketball format, we're probably going to look there before we go to a high school kid who's never done anything in college.
Yep.
So don't think that you've arrived and this thing is easy and you're the best thing since sliced bread. You may not even get an opportunity just because of the landscape and how things have changed. So that's number one. The second thing is, is all these guys think that, I can get to the league, get to the league. Even our players, man, all 13 scholarship guys, probably, think that one day they could be in the league. But pay attention to the draft. It's only 2 rounds.
Yep.
Yep. 60
And
picks.
now, and now you have young guys, underclassmen. You have foreign guys, European. If
Yep.
you look at the second round of the NBA draft, it's mostly foreign
Foreign
guys.
Yep.
guys.
Yep.
They basketball is different over there. It's growing. And in a very short time, I think we're gonna see an NBA team in Europe or overseas. I think that's coming, man. The
Damn.
game has changed. So the opportunities are limited for you to excel. For you to go beyond high school, they're limited. And then if you think you're a pro, those opportunities, you got a better chance of getting struck by lightning. So I think it's just really keeping it real, with guys and letting them know that, there might be a possibility. Alfred Payton was a possibility. Sean Long was a possibility.
Yep.
Right.
But those opportunities are not just falling out the sky for you. And so just keeping it real with these young players.
Coach, when you look at uh, college coaches around the country, who are some
Mhm.
coaches that you kind of, you know, I don't want to say emulate your style of coaching, but you kind of take little things from and bits and pieces from certain coaches and kind of, and put your little own little twist on it to kind of enhance what you do, in whatever program that you're coaching at that time or
Yeah.
developing kids.
Krzyzewski.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, well, first of all, man, I would have to go to the pioneers, man. Going back to guys like when I was younger, John Thompson.
Yep.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about the original OG,
Yep.
John
Yep.
Thompson.
Yep.
Winning the national championship in '84. You look at a guy like Nolan Richardson and
Yep.
40 Minutes of Hell and what he did to win a national championship
Championship.
in '94. And then the legend who the original OG of the matchup, which is what we play, John Chaney. I think it starts right there, man, because
Yeah.
those guys were doing something that brothers, not a lot of us were able to do back then.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how my influence. And then you take that, man, and I get a chance to play for a guy like Lon Kruger, who's gonna be a Hall of Fame coach, man, and what I learned from him and the guys I worked for along the way, Billy Kennedy, at Centenary, Keith Richard. When I worked for Keith Richard at Louisiana Tech, man, I was able to coach Paul Millsap.
Yep.
Right.
So that, J.P. Piper, man, I helped him, win at Nickel State, man,
Yep.
right there in the backyard.
That's where y'all was getting all them foreigners.
Yeah, man. We had a couple good years over there down there on the Bayou.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and during 9 years in Lafayette with a guy like Bob Marlin, who is I think he had something, boy, that I would love to steal and take it, man. He had an innate ability to get guys to play with confidence on the offensive end. I had
Mhm.
never seen that before. So then having worked for him and then coming to work for a guy like Ron Hunter, man. Look, Ron Hunter, as an African American coach, has been in the game as a head coach for 32 years and has never been fired.
That's
How
unheard
many
of.
brothers
Unheard
can
of.
say that? Unheard of.
Yep.
Unheard of. So the influences, man, going back from, just watching, being a fan of basketball, playing basketball, and to the guys I work for, That's what's made me, man. That's what's made me. So, and I'm very grateful for all the people that have touched me along the way.
Listen, coach. I mean, I could talk basketball all day.
Me
That's
too.
just
That's what I do.
I could talk basketball all day.
Right.
I do want to ask you one other question for myself though.
hmm hmm
In terms of some of the guys, in terms of skills, what are some of the things that you try to get kids to really work on? Right now, when you look at basketball, you got kids trying to work on their defensive skill sets. You got kids trying to work on their offensive skills, their mid range, their 3-point shot. What are some of the things you try to focus on, get kids to work on to make themselves a better basketball player?
Man, that's a great question because it changes. About every 3 or 4 years, the trend in basketball, the
Right.
game, it changes. It doesn't stay the same. So the biggest thing now, man, is 5 out basketball.
Mm,
So basketball has become positionless. You don't even hardly hear people talking about point guard, off
Side
guard,
flashes.
small forward, power forward, center. You better have if you want to excel in basketball today, you better have a high skill level. That's dribble, pass, and shooting. And I'm gonna put the exclamation point on shooting because if you can shoot the 3-point shot, there is room for you in the game because of the spacing. But
Hmm.
Right.
that's what's happening now, man. Everybody is playing 5 out basketball. You look at the grassroots, you see very little traditional two-post offensive play. And then, the college game is becoming like the NBA game, man. It is 5 out and skill guys succeed. So that's kind of what I preach.
I I I dig it,
No doubt.
no doubt.
Coach KJ, man, appreciate you for coming on FanView, man. Good luck to you guys this season. I'm definitely gonna be in attendance for some of you guys' games, and man, we hope to get you back on here, man, in the near future.
Man, anytime, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. Look, I love what y'all do. Keep it up.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Appreciate it, coach.
No problem, man. Have a great
Have a great one. Listen, guys, that's Tulane assistant coach Kevin Johnson, man.
Oh
He's
yeah.
coached some great